What's up, guys? Thanks and welcome back to Gaslit News. I was all like, um, so shout out to my official day ones here at Gaslit News, Miriam Kirby and Victoria, aka Jaguar Right Wrong. Hopefully they're in the chat right now. I cannot officially like do live, so I'm premiering the shows live because I just need a new computer. I legit think it's because I need a new computer. Hopefully, if you guys do hear sound, hopefully you don't hear sounds. Um, I may, hopefully, I was able to like hold it in and run this through the software so that I can get out any sounds that you may hear. You may hear my child, but he is with his father, my husband. So we're all good. Yeah, guys. So basically, Miriam Kirby, I had to look that window's open. Oh my gosh, you guys know I'm always messing with this wig. Guys, and really quickly, I need to say this. And the link should be in the description of this video. I really want you guys to check out Noir Hair. That's just like that's a link to their website. I Oh my gosh. Yeah. Actually, there's a link. I have my own link for Noir Hair. It's red brown. Because the social media app that I'm on, I started this, it's like a new social media app. And you guys know that it's so unfortunate that the content creators on here, like, I would love to just share the information, but I've already been a victim of like a flat out, like, okay, I don't mind inspiration if you're being inspired, but if you're just like flat out mimicking, like, oh my gosh, what if, okay, hopefully I put this to the render so I can edit all that out because I get like really crazy about stuff. In any event, I'm not ready to share that link with YouTube yet, but once it gets around like Rumble did, then yeah, I'll share the link to my platform over there. And so that's basically where I just talk about like makeup and skincare, you know, yeah, and stuff, products, because I'm a big consumer. And so, in any event, Noir Hair absolutely works. I'm not going to take too much time talking about that. Go check that video out where I talk about it. And then there's a link. You can use my link to get that discount, and you're going to need it. And this actually really does make your hair grow. I'm saying check the video so you can see the hair growth. The video on Princess Life, but I'll put a link to that. Should be like up here somewhere, maybe. And then definitely in the description box. Okay. Now, Earth Organics. That I got that before Noir Hair, and Earth Organics absolutely works. It's like a chibi powder based thing. So if you know anything about chibi powder, you know, then you know. And if you don't, just YouTube that and you're like, wow, this stuff absolutely really does work. So yeah. Today, so basically, oh my gosh. Image. So there has been a lot of, now I want to do it like that. There's been a lot of developments in the Gene Hackman situation. And it's just like, I don't know if I said this on my video, on my last video that I did talking about Gene Hackman. And so the reason why, let me try to, yeah, you know, guys, I'm just dealing with this studio. I would kind of like it to be, you guys got to see this lady. Okay, this is crazy. So if you guys are familiar with Gene Hackman, then you are. If you're not, he's an actor, an old Hollywood actor. And I mean, like about 95 years old, as a matter of fact. He's passed away, but it's so peculiar how he died and his wife, because it's like he was found dead, his wife, the dog. And so it's not carbon monoxide. He's not close to his children, But there's something else that, and this is all just my theory, right? And opinion, opinion formulated by theory. But then you have the facts that help formulate the theory. What I do know right now is that they are still suffering from the California wildfires, and they are in need of money. And like they're still burning and they're still in need of money. They said that Gene is worth like 80 million or 800 million. But we're gonna hopefully take a look at that. Hopefully, I may have to make this part two. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to spend. My daughter's visiting this weekend. So, and that was just like a thing. And Miriam, I'm so sorry if this is not literally Friday when this video is up, because I literally told Miriam Kirby it was going to be up today. So let's just get into the medical examiner. So we're just going to pull back a little bit. The medical examiner looks extremely uncomfortable. She looks like she is agreeing with something that she knows is wrong. This looks like this is her first time being a part of espionage. And that's just...
Our investigation shows that all the last known communication and activity from Ms. Arakawa was on February 11th. I'm going to go ahead and turn over the podium to Dr. Joe. I would ask that everybody refrain from asking questions until everybody has provided their statements. I'll step up to the podium and then we'll go ahead and field questions from the media. Thank you.
Legal name. It's Betsy Hackman, which is how she will be referred to hereafter.
So look at her face. Look at her face. Like she looks completely disgusted. You know how one thing I've noticed about being a content creator, and actually, like I said, being a content creator, a creator of original content, when you are like slowing these things down and pausing and trying to get people in freeze frames for the thumbnails and things like that, and even when you're just doing things like this for commentary, so you're viewing a person's soul live in action. It is so loud. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. So like you're getting the person like mid soul. You know what I'm saying? Like you're freezing them in this moment of time. And so if intuitive person is just kind of like, you're always picking up on things. She looks very uncomfortable. And I thought it was interesting how she says, and she's taking like a lot of breaths, like, it's like she can hardly just notice this, it's like she can hardly contain herself, even having to speak about this. it's something else. And then she says, which is how, Betsy Orakawa, which is how we'll refer to her. That's a little unusual because you usually would name a person by the name that's on their medical records, driver's license, whatever the case may be. So it just seems like at some point, I don't know, it feels like they uncovered something about her physical body that may question whether or not she is a miss, because why does she need to say, which is how we'll refer to her? And this woman is extremely uncomfortable. It makes me feel like almost, and then the fact that they weren't actually releasing the actual examination itself makes me feel like, they were found in a gruesome state, and they just don't want to, I don't know, alert the public, I would say, because it's a lot of money. And so we'll talk about the money later.
The cause of death for Miss Betsy Hackman, aged 65 years, is hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. The manner of death is natural. Autopsy examination.
The manner of death is natural. But what would she just say the cause of death was? So she can hardly breathe even speaking. So it almost makes me feel like, is this a deadly virus that is there? There's an outbreak and she has to keep it under wraps. Something about this entire situation and her even having to speak to the public about it is making her extremely uncomfortable, and it's not like the truth. Like what she's saying is not the full truth.
And full body postmortem CT demonstrated no findings of trauma internally or externally, with microscopic findings consistent with hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. Laboratory testing was positive for hantavirus at a clinical lab, with required confirmation testing positive at Scientific Laboratories Division. Testing for COVID-19, influenza, and other common respiratory viruses was negative. Testing for carbon monoxide was negative. There were no other significant natural disease findings. Pills present on scene were thyroid medication, which were being taken as prescribed and is not currently.
She takes so many deep breaths. She is so uncomfortable about this. And look at this woman. She's like, why are you so uncomfortable? She doesn't believe her at all.
Concern for contributory cause of death.
Or maybe it was like, you better say it. You better get it right.
The cause of death for Mr. Gene Hackman, aged 95 years, is hypertensive.
Why does she have to look at that lady?
An atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, with Alzheimer's disease as a significant contributory factor. Autopsy examination and a full body postmortem CT examination demonstrated no acute findings of internal or external trauma and showed severe heart disease, including multiple surgical procedures involving the heart, evidence of prior heart attacks, and severe changes of the kidneys due to chronic high blood pressure. Examination of the brain showed advanced Alzheimer's disease, as well as blood vessel changes in the brain secondary to chronic high blood pressure. Laboratory testing performed at Scientific Laboratories Division was negative for COVID.
And then she keeps on nodding, like, good, good, good. It's just, look. Now, I just fast forwarded a bit. Something's not right. Something's not right at all. I must have gotten the. Oh, that was her spill. I just.
Thank you.
She's like, good job.
Cough, sometimes vomiting and diarrhea that can progress to shortness of breath and cardiac or heart failure and lung failure. This occurs after a 1 to 8 week exposure to excrement from a primarily particular mouse species that carries hantavirus. The mortality of hantavirus, the mortality rate of the hantavirus strain in the Southwest is about 38 to 50%. The hantavirus strains in the United States are not transmissible from person to person. And so this is an appropriate time to segue to Dr. Aaron Phipps, the state public health veterinarian with the New Mexico Department of Health. But before I do so, I'd like to kindly ask for everyone to please respect the privacy that Mr. Gene Hackman, Miss Betsy Hackman, and their family and friends deserve. Thank you.
I don't understand when they say things like that. If you're talking about it, what do you mean? What do you mean for, is that for us? And guys, if it's lagging, and not literally, I'm just recording, so that's really sad. So hopefully, if this doesn't lag too much, so I know that maybe I can go live. I do plan on going live, but I realize like I just can't come on camera because that's like pushes the computer harder, and then it just like freezes. Yeah, so it sounds like that is a virus that, you know, the dog contracted, and then then it was from the dog to the human being, obviously, because I'm just gonna have the veterinarian come on and speak. But I just, I don't know, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think they just came up with it just to shut the public up. It's just too weird, and it doesn't happen. Things don't happen like that. It's too sketchy. Now, really quickly, what I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys. This just came out the other day. And so this guy, Gene Hackman, is worth a lot of money. I already pretty much assumed that he depended on his wife, Betsy, like solely to take care of him. So if anything happened to him, if anything happened to her, it was like done deal. It was going to be done deal regardless. Now, this is probably going to look, it's doing it already. Freezing up is so ridiculous. You can stop the screen. So let's see here. So the other day,
to fear ease, to see ambition as pressure, and to equate and
dive more into that.
Okay.
Make this one simple change.
So basically, this came out the other day about the money. I knew that he was worth a lot of money and that he was not particularly close to his children. But check this out.
Because there was a space heater on the ground with her that looked to have fallen. Pills were scattered on the counter. The 95-year-old Hackman was found dead in a mudroom with sunglasses and a walking cane nearby. From the start of the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office investigation, they said there were no signs of foul play, but it was a mystery as to how they died and just how long they were dead for. The couple was very private. They lived in a $3.3 million home in Santa Fe that was secluded, that had no security cameras. Eventually, officers discovered that Hackman's pacemaker recorded its last event on February 18th. The medical exam.
So no cameras. So when you have no cameras and you have that much money and you live in a secluded place like this, you don't want people to see what you're up to, is usually what that means and what that actually looks like. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want it to be down anywhere. Or he may have called himself willing to really live off the grid, and because if he's got security cameras, then it's being looked at elsewhere also, unless he has the kind that is like from Home Depot, and depending on how those are rigged, so I don't know, it just seems kind of odd to be worth that much money and not have any cameras at all.
Examiner said that Hackman died of a combination of cardiovascular disease and all.
With all due respect, I gotta make sure.
Alzheimer's. As far as Arakawa Hackman, the medical examiner found that she had a rare but dangerous infectious disease called hantavirus that's carried by rodents and has similar symptoms initially as the flu. The Department of Health in New Mexico says there have only been 156 cases of this in the last 50 years in the state, but more than 40% of those cases are fatal. Here's what Santa Fe County Sheriff said on March 7th about Betsy Arakawa Hackman's death, and at the time they had recorded her last known moments to be on February 11th.
We know from our investigation that on February 9th, 2025, she picked up Xena from Gruda Veterinary Hospital. There was a procedure that was done with the dog.
Ready to stop UTIs before they even start? Meet the first anti-UTI spray for women, Intimate Skin Support from Love.
It's like they're saying that
dog, which may explain why the dog was in a crate at the residence. Let's move on to February 11th, 2025. Mrs. Arakawa had an email conversation with her massage therapist at about 11:21 a.m. Moving on into the afternoon, Miss Arakawa was at the Sprouts Farmers Market between 3:30 and 4:15 p.m. Miss Arakawa was seen on surveillance video at the CVS pharmacy in Santa Fe from 4:12 to 4:20 p.m. She then stopped at a local pet food store at about 4:54 p.m. Her car was seen on surveillance, and the remote control clicker that is assigned to her and her vehicle was used to enter the subdivision to gain access to the gated community at 5:15 p.m. Numerous emails were unopened on her computer on February 11th. There was no additional outgoing communication from her or known activity after February 11th, 2025. The cell phone information and the cell phone data is pending. We're working with state police to get the information from those phones.
Turns out the phone data that came back shows that she actually died the next day, a day later than police originally reported. It showed that Arakawa Hackman made multiple phone calls to a local health clinic on the 12th, seeking care for the disease that would kill her later that day, according to deputies. The BBC spoke with the head of Cloudberry Health, who said that Arakawa talked of congestion, but didn't mention breathing issues or chest pain. Arakawa had scheduled an appointment for the 12th, but she canceled on the 10th, saying that she needed to care for her husband, Gene Hackman. This means that Gene Hackman still spent days inside that house with his wife's dead body in the bathroom. The medical examiner did say, health-wise, Hackman was in rough shape after she examined his body. As for the dog, according to this report, it didn't die of an infection like Arakawa did, but a lack of food and water. The dog recently had a procedure and was being confined to a carrier. The couple had two other dogs that were found alive on the property, and they've both been reportedly taken to a local shelter for care. Now there are questions about what will happen to Gene Hackman's estate, one that's been built up over a career of 40 years of being a Hollywood A-lister. According to Entertainment Weekly, that estate is worth $80 million.
And, so it sounds, so she took, oh my gosh, I wonder how long this disease can actually last and go on before it gets to the point where you're just dead, because it's like, wouldn't she have made several calls to doctors long before or a week before? It seems like she just started struggling with this hantavirus, and she just picked the dogs up she just picked the dogs up on the 11th. So that was the actual last movement they had. Since she died on the 12th, she had a bunch of calls. They initially thought she died on the that day, but it was the next day. Like, and then she had all these calls about, hey, I'm sick. So it's like she picked the dogs up. They had a surgery, and then she gets sick with the hantavirus, and then there's a veterinarian that comes up that's going to speak too. So it's like the virus came from the dogs. It came from the surgery. Like it sounds like, how they have like MRSA in hospitals. MRSA is very dangerous. If you don't know about MRSA, check that out. I did quite a long stint in healthcare. So, MRSA is like it's a bedside disease. You can get it from, it's an infection. Just from like the spores and just the open germs in the hospital. Some people have MRSA like that lies dormant in them. It's really weird. It's in any event. So that can kill you. MRSA can kill you, and that's why you have like sterile fields and things like that, and central sterile, all these things. You don't get, MRSA and all other kinds of infections when you get surgery. So this dog had a dirty surgery, it sounds like, and caught this infection and then gave it to the owner. The owner quickly died. So it sounds like there's like an actual lawsuit here. But right now, what we're about to hear, I think the children are going to be too concerned with trying to get their hands on the 80 million to even figure out what exactly happened to their dad and their stepmom. They're claiming, like, the daughter's going to claim that she's very close to her dad, but the last time she talked to him was 2 months ago. You're not really close to your dad. You weren't that close. If you talk, you're not close. 2 months don't go by and you don't speak to someone that you're really close to, especially if it's your dad. I'm not talking about friends, and sisters or even friends. Some people are kind of different when it comes to their friends and associates. But like your dad, and he's older and he has Alzheimer's, you have a great relationship and you don't talk to him for 2 months. He could have died in 2 months, and he literally did. Like, no.
Hackman left it all to his wife. Hackman has 3 adult children from a previous marriage: 65-year-old Christopher, 62-year-old Elizabeth, and 58-year-old Leslie.
So you can't trust these children because he did not leave them a dime. He didn't leave them a dime. Just listen, there's like a clause to it.
Of them are listed as beneficiaries in Hackman's will, which was reportedly signed in 2005. Even with the timeline of Arakawa dying 24 hours after what was first thought, that doesn't change the reality that she died before Gene Hackman did, raising the question of who's entitled to this fortune. Hackman did appoint his former attorney as the person who would be in charge of this trust if Betsy Arakawa died, but that person died in 2019. So it was passed on to their successor, an attorney named Julia Peters, who is now representing the estate in court. According to Entertainment Weekly, Betsy's will says if Hackman doesn't outlive her by 90 days after her death, the estate is directed to be administered to a, quote, charitable trust to achieve purposes beneficial to the community, consistent with the charitable preferences and interests expressed or indicated by my spouse and me during our lifetimes. The attorney representing the trust did file documents in court listing Hackman's adult children as heirs to the trust. Now, we know that Hackman's children were not in touch with their dad regularly.
So that's impossible because it says that her will says, he says he's leaving the money to her. She says if she dies within a certain amount of time for him, then it's going to go to charitable people. How were they then heirs of the trust? How were they then heirs of the... Oh, okay, so possibly it's like, all right, I'm leaving you the money. If you die before me, I'm giving it to charity. But if it's being left to charity, then how are they heirs of the trust? It's like, yeah, we own it, but we got to give it to charity. So I don't know. Sounds like they're going to be battling. They're going to be doing some battling to get that $80 million. But he didn't want his children to have it. And that was very, very clear to us all. I feel like whoever has it now is just making money off of it. You know how you just use money to invest in stocks and things, and like banks do it all the time, and they can blow up off of a little bit, like $10-$20. You know what I'm saying? It happens to really smart, like these stock broker people. You know, it happens, and it happens to beginners that just, you know, hit on something. So like career stock people, like, no, they could have easily, no. I think that the state of California is going to end up with the money. You know what? And honestly, just hearing it again that he didn't want his children to have it, and it's such an amount of money, you know, it sounds like, because the state of California can't afford any more lawsuits. Nothing bad. The medical examiner looks uncomfortable. Yeah, this is just a theory, but you know, I don't know who did what, but I do know that because the way that will and everything is written, the courts, which they're the court of California, I think they're just going to make sure that the money goes to charity. They're going to make sure of it, and the charity would be California needing the money right now. I think if Gene Hackman was like literally alive and in his right mind, he'd probably give half his fortune to California anyway, because they were in such dire straits with the fires and everything. And the only reason why he probably already didn't do that is because he's got dementia and stuff. So what is his wife going to worry him about that? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But as far as something sketchy happened, honestly, because I have a vivid imagination, and you know, this country is really wicked. It actually is. It could have been a lot more sinister than that, but to listen to it all being put together, it does sound like she caught that virus from some sort of a dirty, unclean surgery that the dog had at the veterinary hospital. California cannot afford another lawsuit, so they're not dealing with that. And yeah, and that's why the medical examiner looks so uncomfortable, because it's kind of like she knows more than what she can actually say. And then to say respect their privacy, it's like, girl, you already put it. So I don't get why you would say that if you're putting that, already putting the results out there, like you're already putting out what happened. Like, how much more respect do they need? Like, so now we can't talk about what you said? I don't understand that. And this is with all due respect to the Hackman family and all stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? He's a celebrity. He put himself out there. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And people are concerned. And this is a really, really peculiar thing. You know what I mean? That happened. And like I said, you know, for 1 minute there, I'm thinking that there may be like a total outbreak that the medical examiner is trying to hide. So yeah, people are like concerned. But yeah, no, it sounds like there's something to do with that dog and that surgery, and then the woman caught of the virus, and then because the dog's dead also too. So you got that. Yeah, and they just don't want to be sued, and then they want Hackman's money because he's going to give it to California anyway. The kids are going to fight for it, and yeah, I don't know, guys. Drop down in the comments. Who do you think deserves the money? Because Hackman literally didn't want his kids to have it. He gave it to his wife. His wife wants to give it to charity. She didn't want his kids to have it. How are they heirs then? I don't know. You guys can finish checking out that video. Hopefully I dropped the link, and yeah, we'll get it then. All right. Okay, so shout out to Steve Ram. This next segment, I just pretty much called it Scanned. I don't know if I put this in the title or anything, the thumbnail. But this is something that I didn't know that they had, and I think this is very interesting. And this is something that I want to share with you all and encourage you guys to like not be out there in crowds at all. I'm advising strongly against that because I absolutely care. They have this kind of technology, and so it's just like they're saying they're using it for this purpose, but if they have it, they can use it for any purpose.
They hate Israel They hate Jewish Americans. They are anti-American.
I make 2 big points here. One, I'm going to start with the speech facade, the myth that this is about speech. What happened to Mahmoud Khalil had nothing to do with speech. It has everything to do with creating an enchantment that is where Zionists are prohibited, where Jewish students are not allowed to walk on their own campus. These are crimes. These are deportable events. These are things that we would never tolerate. As for all these people who are now in Trump Tower, I hope that this administration will do what the Biden administration did to the January 6th people who walked inside the Capitol. They have the technology, get their faces, match it up with the database, and if any of them are non-citizens, every one of them is trespassing. They all should be deported from this country too.
Wouldn't they be?
Okay.
Should be deported from this country. Match it up with the database, and if any of them are non-citizens, every one of them is trespassing.
So you heard that. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know that kind of technology existed where you literally could match up people in a crowd of people. Like, that's insane. That's 100% insane. So if they have technology that can match up people in a crowd, then we know that technology goes wrong. So it's just like they have technology that can mix match people in a crowd. You know what I'm saying? Just come and just like, this is horrible. And I not to get into the actual reason why they're there or anything like that. But it just goes to show that whatever the government wants, whatever they want to push, whatever it is, if you're not with it, then they're against you. So it just doesn't sound like a government that is set in place, to represent the people and to do what the people want them to do the way it is proposed to us, the way it's proposed to us. It literally sounds like the government is against the people. It just literally is starting to sound and look like that. That's another thing I wanted to, that's actually the next thing I want to go and get to. So this is just really quickly about the fact that, they have this technology that can like scope you out in a crowd and like determine exactly who you are. So they can just do that at leisure, which is like the issue with what Elon Musk is doing with the social security system, under the guise as Doge. People are very, very uncomfortable with them not being an official government facet, and then coming through and going through all these, personal files and things like that, and then firing all these people. So that brings me to no stimulus at all. I don't know how. And actually, that's not the next one I wanted to talk about, but we might as well, since we just kind of rolled into that. Wow. All right. So shout out to Snyder Reports. I watch Snyder Reports. And guys, Miriam Kirby, if you're watching, and I should be in the chat with you now, check out this guy and Steve Ram, because you have a lot of like opinions on the political spectrum. And I would say that these are really good spaces for it, because they're like, up to date. Like, they're putting out videos more, because, their wives are doing all that stuff. And I'm a wife. I can't do all this. Can't. You know what I mean? But yeah, they'll keep you up to date and up to speed. So Snyder Reports does everything like with the money, the economy for the most part, jobs, stuff like that. Steve Ram really follows Trump and this whole stimulus thing. He's just, the whole stimulus is talking about it, apparently, for some of these people on YouTube.
Well, we got to talk about it.
Now, Snyder says we are not getting it. It's not coming. And also debunk some things really quickly. It is not for a certain household. If they do get it, it's not for a certain household level of income. It's not that. It's for every working citizen that has ever paid into the Social Security Administration, because it comes right out of your paycheck. So
there's now a chance that you will not be getting a Doge dividend check. I want to explain why and what lawmakers are doing at this time. Now,
want to be very clear on something. There are still a lot of people, both Republicans and Democrats, that are pushing for this Doge dividend check to come to you. And it could be up to 20%. It could be $5,000 or more. And some say it actually could be only a few $100s. But it's what is going on right now, the actions that are being taken, that is going to impact this overall amount. I'm going to break this down in just a moment, explaining what is going on and what was just done today that is actually going to halt a lot of this. So I'll break all this down in just a moment, explaining what is going on and what this means moving forward. But before I do, all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. You can see from doing their job. Look at this. It says, judge bars Musk's Doge team from Social Security records in scathing ruling. Keep this in mind, and we're going to go through this in just a moment, explain what's going on here, but keep this in mind. Over the past several weeks, there's been multiple judges, some and mostly in all the lower courts, but they've been ruling on certain things and saying that the Trump administration doesn't have the authority to do this and that. Even this one, barring the Doge team from your Social Security records. Now, keep in mind, these judges are saying that they should not have access to all your personal information. But at the same time, if they don't have access to it, there's no way they can tell whether or not there is any fraud or wasteful spending.
But that's not necessarily true at all, because what you can see about the fraud is you don't need personal information. All you need to know is to see like the distribution of the money, and that's it. That's true. It has a name. Like personal information is like what their social security numbers, their dates of birth, and things like that. There is a way that they can do that without getting their personal information. They just haven't come up with it because it hasn't been enough time to be brainstormed. It's not being done correctly. It's not being done in a way where it can protect the person. So, ultimately, the sad part about this is, again, this is why the last segment led me into this one where I'm saying like it feels like the government itself is against the people, because while Doge is saying like, we're the Department of Efficiency and we're going to do this and do that and make things better and efficient, it's holding up people's money. Not even this stimulus, because this video is a couple of days old. I'm sorry, guys. I'm doing my best. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm trying my best. Yeah. Check out Snyder Reports, though. It's a couple of days old. So now the government is like probably on shutdown because today is Friday. Because they're threatening the shutdown because the court system, and this is why, if the government is shut down today, then this is why, like Snyder's explaining, is that the judge is saying, you guys can't violate people's rights, so it's just like how you have in healthcare where there's like, your PHI, it's called protected health information. And so as a healthcare provider, I myself cannot come online and give information about, any person that I've taken care of. So that's no names, no dates of birth, all of that stuff. That's diagnoses for that particular person. None of that stuff. Protected health information. Can I talk broadly about disease? Yes. Medications? Yes. Groups of people even? Yes. Because all that is statistically proven and journalistically written down and everything like that. So it's out there. But what's not out there is the individuals that I took care of. So yeah. So that's the problem, because they're saying like the way they're doing this, these people who have access to this information, they've not been vetted. There's been no process where they've signed these documents like a PHI, protecting the person's information. Because they're just coming in like a group, like a brute force. So, I get it all the way around, but here's the issue. So they want to do that. The judge is saying, no, you're violating these people's rights. But now we're talking about government shutdown. So then that means the people that need the Social Security checks that they're supposed to get aren't getting that. And the thing about it is the monies that are due to be spent for all these programs are already written into the bill, like last year for this year. So it's really just affecting the actual American citizens. It's just seeming like an attack on the American people. It's just what it looks like. I hate the way this thing keeps on freezing, guys. It's so bad. That's why, like, and shout out to Miss Victoria, aka Jaguar Wrong. I really appreciate, you know what? And I because she asked me about, sending me money, with the Cash App. And I was like, you know what? I would rather for you prepare for the end of the world, and it's just because I'm not used to people doing things for me, people being nice to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you guys watch me even for a little bit on Princess Life with, you know what's up, you know what's real, you know what's up, and people, you know what I mean? So, but this is why I love Jesus Christ, right? And all the people that have him in their hearts, because you recognize it. You recognize what's going on. And I don't expect anything but like people to be nasty and people to just be, weird and stuff like that. And it's like, whatever. I'm cool. I'm cool regardless. So, but Victoria, that really touched me, what you did. That's my very first donation as a content creator. And I've been at this for a couple of years, like about 3 now, I think. Yeah, should be 3. I think it makes 3 in May or May 3 in March. Because I started over at Reality Rewind. And I started with giving money away right over there. That's how you don't win. So, and really just wanting to be heard. So it's like when you do a thing like that, it's like you confirm that I'm not just being heard, I'm being listened to, and I'm being seen. And I really appreciate you, Miss Victoria. And also, it's not nice to you shouldn't not accept gifts is something I'm realizing, but definitely pray over them. You know what I mean? Bless them and bless, the hands that give it, things like that. So yeah, I mean, I put that in the pot toward getting a new computer for the channel so that I can actually stop freezing. So yeah, I'm officially accepting donations now. And I really appreciate that, Miss Victoria. And yeah, so let me move on. I'm so glad I didn't cry. I'm getting so much stronger.
Gone. So I can see both sides to this, but here's the reason why this is a big deal for these potentially $5,000 Doge dividend checks. Is that all these judges are blocking the Doge team from doing what they're trying to do. This means all that money that you thought you were getting, well, it's not coming. Because right now, and I did an update on this just the other day, I said that as far as the Department of Government Efficiency is concerned, they've only saved $115 billion. That's the estimate as of right now, $115 billion. That was as of yesterday, March 19th, 2025.
And I personally don't care because it's not money that we could count on anyway. The government plays a lot of games. Because what I was thinking, check out my Starlink video. I was thinking that because it's involved with Elon Musk and because they want to push Starlink, he's probably just going to say that the only way that you can get this money is if you sign up for Starlink, is if you get a chip. You know what I'm saying? If you get the chip, you can get the money. You know what I'm saying? Forget that crap. Guys, drop it in the comments if you would get a chip in order to get that money. And I'm going to tell you right now, you would be a fool if you did that because they're going to give it away before the chip thing. So you don't have to do it. Just like that other thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be so quick to jump to do stuff, guys. Like, you can, like, literally, this is not about patriotism. This is about your health, your life, and literally your soul. So that's what I'm going to say to that.
So keep that in mind. The Department of Government Efficiency is already, based off reports, not doing as well as they thought they were going to do. And on top of that, now they have to deal with these judges trying to order them to not do certain things or block certain agencies from actually doing stuff with them and working alongside of them. So again, it's a little bit of a problem. Now, I want to read this to you, though. It says right here, I'm just going to read the key points really quick. It says right here, a federal judge issued a temporary restraining order barring Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency team from getting access to personally identifiable information from the Social Security Administration. It says Judge Ellen Lipton, a Hollander, accused Doge of launching a phishing expedition at the Social Security Agency and failing to provide any reason why it needed to access vast swaths of Americans' personal and private data. Keep this in mind. Everybody has said that this is just a phishing expedition. That all the Department of Government Efficiency is doing
is looking,
trying to find fraud. They're fishing for it.
Right. And so this takes time and this costs money. What Trump is saying is that Elon is spending his own money to do this. So we should be grateful that he's doing this. Now, at this point, it's causing a slowdown at the Social Security Administration. Like, this stuff isn't right. This stuff isn't okay. It's just not. It's just like trading. It's like you got to face the fact that when you're being pushed to deal with one lesser devil, it's like you traded one devil for another. You know what I mean? But not even that you made that conscientious decision. I just think that it's time to go packing from this country, because what they're doing to the people isn't right. It's wrong. It's very wrong. He's not even thinking about the disabled. You know, once you say you don't care about the elderly and the disabled, we're all doomed. Like, they are our vulnerable citizens. They don't care about the vulnerable. They don't care about you.
And again, is this true? Yes. Okay. The Department of Government Efficiency, if they knew there was fraud going on and how it was going through, they would go right to it.
So I basically am done with that. You know, I don't. That's his whole thing. I'm not watching. I don't even watch. I'm not sharing his video for his opinion. I'll say that. And I very rarely even watch it for his opinion. The guy keeps up with, the articles, and he reads them and interprets them for us. So, it's great. I'm appreciative. So yeah, it just sounds like they are literally against us. They're literally against the United States citizens. Because like I said, that is who's suffering now in lieu of it. It's like, hey, pay attention to this check. You're gonna get this check. And it's like, maybe. I mean, like, aren't you guys experiencing like a video every single day about this whole stimulus thing? It's like, how many times can you talk about something that is not here? You know what I mean? Just don't let them gas you up, guys. You know what I'm saying? It's like all the news is gaslit.